Good morning and welcome to First Unitarian. Please rise and body your spirit as we sing Morning Has Come. Morning has come, night is away. Rise with the sun and welcome the day. Morning has come, night is away. Rise with the sun and welcome the day. Now, let's do this as a round. Congregation, you and I will be part number 1, and choir, you will be part number 2. Let's try it. Congregation, and morning has come. Choir, night is away. Rise with the sun and welcome the day. Morning has come. Night is away. Rise with the sun and welcome the day. One more time. Morning has come. Night is away. Rise with the sun and welcome the day. Awesome. Thank you.
Welcome, the morning. Welcome to First Unitarian Church of Rochester. I am Reverend AJ. I use he and him pronouns, and I'm one of the ministers that serves this congregation. Where our mission is, our purpose as a people, is that through spiritual connection and community, we listen deeply to others and ourselves. We open to wonder and transformation, and we serve together with love and humility. If you are new or new-ish around here, please be sure to stop by our welcome desk so we can help you get connected and oriented to things around here. And please, if you weren't here at 10:30 for Connections, please come early at 10:30 next week to join us for the Inquirer series designed for newcomers, where you can learn about all different aspects of our faith and our church. If you're here this morning because you are going through a hard time, or you are worried about somebody else who is, the state of the world has got you down, or you just need to get something off your chest, please reach out. We have a lay pastoral care associate team. These are trained and trusted volunteers ready to be a listening ear to whatever it is you need to share. And we have a pastoral care associate here in the sanctuary. I see Phil in the back with a rainbow and beige stole, similar to the one I'm wearing. You can connect with him during the service if needed, or afterwards as well. If the state of the world has got you down, if you are worried and looking for even more connection and ways to build connections, not just in our community, but across Rochester, we have an excellent interfaith gathering happening on Tuesday night at First Universalist. It's at 7:30. If you were here at the choir, here at the first service, I said 7 o'clock. So it's actually 7:30, but showing up early is never a bad thing. So 7:30, it'll happen. Tuesday night, it's a gathering of interfaith communities within Rochester for conversation and also figuring out action. We want to build the relationships and lay the groundwork for the interfaith relationships that we certainly need in a general sense and may need to call upon to keep our city safe and protected, as cities across the country have had to do in recent weeks and months. Our congregation is, one of the things that you'll hear at that event is from our lead minister, Reverend Sherry Kwan, who will talk about their recent experiences in traveling to Minneapolis. But they are not here with us this morning because they are at the UU Church of Canandaigua preaching, as this is the first Sunday in our, now it seems to be an annual tradition of a pulpit swap in the winter and spring amongst the 3 Unitarian Universalist churches. Because that's the pulpit swap that will take us through March, we are actually sort of a little early in starting on our theme of truth this morning, because in March and April, we will enter into the muddy season. I don't know about you. I'm ready for the frozen season to be over and the muddy season to begin. So we're doing that a little early this last Sunday of February. So I'm preaching my pulpit swap sermon for the theme of truth, even though we are also still in the theme of power. But helping lead worship this morning is Grant and our Director of Religious Education, Amanda, and Pablo, and the First Unitarian Choir. We have the AV team really keeping us connected and well. And we send our well wishes to Emily, our production coordinator, who is under the weather this morning, so had to call it sick, so we send her good healing thoughts. And all of you are here to make church possible, to make the community real, to be partners in worship. And so to that, I invite you to center yourself, prepare for our hour of worship together. Maybe ground your feet on the ground and take a deep breath as we acknowledge with respect the Seneca Nation, keepers of the Western Door, and part of the Haudenosaunee people on whose ancestral and contemporary lands First Unitarian now stands. And I'm very excited to welcome a special guest visitor. Reverend Virtus is visiting us. So I'm going to invite him forward now to light our chalice. Thought it would be lovely to have him light our chalice. But he needs your help. Please join us with the unison words to light our chalice. Life is a gift for which we are grateful. We gather in community to celebrate the glories and the mysteries of this great gift.
Please rise and bow to our spirit once again as we sing Gather the Spirit. Spirit.
Hi, I'm Grant Koss. I use he, him pronouns. And about 25 so years ago, I was starting a new job here, a college teacher. I was really excited, and I kind of got mixed up in a little bit of academic political kerfluffle and of sorts. What I did, I was very ambitious at the time. I proposed a new course through my department for the college. I was really excited about it. I was much younger then, too, and I was proposing this course, and it was accepted by kind of many persons in the college, save for one individual. Who did not like, supposedly did not like the idea, did not like the class, just didn't think that it should be taught. It became a problematic situation to the point where we had to have a meeting with the dean. Now, again, I was kind of a newbie there and kind of a newbie to college teaching, and this person was pretty established. They were, 25 years and a big cheese, if you will. So I was a little intimidated by this situation, kind of a conflict situation, and then having to speak before the dean. With that, I went to my department chair, my manager, and said, can you help me out, Bruce, in terms of what to do? And he had some great suggestions, some great counsel. He suggested two things. He said, one, you got a great idea here, put a proposal together down on a piece of paper, the nub of your argument, just a couple of paragraphs, nutshell it. The second thing is, this other guy who's, doesn't like your idea, just go into the meeting and let him bloviate. Let him do his thing, and you'll be able to suss out kind of like where he's coming from. Trust me. So I said, all right. Went into this meeting kind of with the dean. My department chair actually came with me. He was a really super guy. And they kind of went back and forth, in a preliminary manner for 5 or 10 minutes. And then the dean turns, looks at me and says, well, Grant, what do you think? And as the newbie, kind of a little nervous, I said, well, I think it's a great idea. It's innovative. It'd be great for kids in the college. And here's the nutshell of my idea, my piece of paper. And I had about 5 pieces of that. And I handed it down to this one guy from the other guy, the eminence. And he didn't even look at it. He just went, I don't need to look at this and read this from a speech teacher. Now, I'm in a department of communication and teach communication. Public speaking was kind of a primary thing that I did. And this course was on freedom of speech and the First Amendment. And this person felt like those type of things should be dealt, with, his folks, constitutional type of issues. But it was at that moment, I put, in earnest my argument before him, and just something clicked. And I looked up at the dean and this guy, and I said, who do you think you're talking to? Where do you get off doing that? Huh? What is this about? And the dean kind of went, and this guy went, and my department chair was a little bit surprised. And at that moment, changed, and it shifted. And I sussed it out, and I found out it wasn't about the idea and this kind of principle. It was about me. It was about, the old guard, and this is the way that things should be done, and here's kind of a new idea. And, he showed his hand, and I called him on it. And in that moment, many of us have been in meetings sometimes that nuttiness, you just feel it changed, and I won the day. The class became part of the curriculum, and it was a good thing. And I think it is really representative of one of the reasons why we come here, why we come to church, that we seek out and we have the counsel of people who've been in situations who know these politics, these power politics. The people try to mess with our minds of sort and give us the right kinds of counsel. Thank you.
Invite you to stay, but if there's children sitting further back in the sanctuary, I'm going to invite you to come down for the Time for All Ages service. Story. So, today's story is one that some of you might be familiar with. It's about a frog and a scorpion. Does that sound familiar to anybody? So, we start with the frog. And this frog lives on the banks of a river. That the river's near a big forest. So the river and the bank and the forest are all this frog's home. And something happens, kind of some sort of natural disaster, maybe a big fire in the forest. And so the frog needs to escape. And he needs to swim across the river to the other bank for safety. So he's getting ready to make his big swim across the river when a scorpion walks up to him. Now, a scorpion has a big stinger, right? And the scorpion asks the frog, "Can I ride on your back across the river to safety?" And the frog thinks, I don't know. That scorpion has a big stinger. And he says, "No, I'm sorry. I don't think so. I think you might sting me." And the scorpion says, "Now, why would I sting you? If I'm riding on your back in the water and I sting you, then we'll both drown. So I won't do that." And so the frog thinks about it and says, all right, climb on. We'll get to safety together. So the frog starts swimming across the river, and do you know what happens? The scorpion stings him. Can you believe it? And so there they are in the middle of the river, and they're both sinking into the river. And the frog says, "Why did you sting me? Because now we're both going to drown." And the scorpion says, "I couldn't help it. It's my nature. It's my nature to sting." Oh, what a story, right? My goodness. And it makes me think about trust. It makes me think about trust. Like if you know someone and they're not very good at being kind, maybe they're kind of a bully, is that a person who you should trust to be kind to you? Maybe not, right? So we get to know people, we get to know who they are, and then we think about the kind of trust we're going to put in them. So I have two more versions of this story. You ready? Here's the second one. Same frog on the riverbank. There's a fire. He's got to escape. And the scorpion comes up to him and says, hey, would you take me across the river to the other side to safety? And the frog says, I don't think so. You're a scorpion and you might sting me. And the scorpion says, I will not sting you. Why would I do that? If you do, we'll both drown. So the frog thinks, And the frog hops off into the forest and gets the biggest, thickest banana leaf he can find and puts it on his back and says, climb on board. So the scorpion climbs up on the frog's back on top of the banana leaf, and the frog's swimming across the river, and about halfway through he feels, boop, that the scorpion's trying to poke him with his tail. But this time the banana leaf is so thick that the scorpion's tail can't get through. And they make it all the way to the other side safely. And the scorpion crawls off and says, oh, thank you so much for getting me away from that fire and bringing me to safety. And the frog says, excuse me? You tried to sting me on the way over. And the scorpion says, I know. I'm so sorry. It's in my nature. I tried not to do it. But I'm glad you were protecting yourself. And so both of us made it across safely. That's version number 2. Are you ready for 3? Okay, great. So version number 3, we've got the frog on the bank of the river. There's a fire. He's got to get away. He's very scared. The scorpion crawls up to him and says, can you give me a ride? And the frog says, no way, man. But the scorpion says, please, I'm in danger too, and I need to get across the river. So the frog thinks, what am I going to do here? The frog hops off into the forest. This time, gets 2 banana leaves. One, he puts on his back. The other one, he gives to the scorpion to hold with his tail up in the air, high up in the air, for the whole ride across. And do you know what that leaf became? It became like a sail, and it helped them get across the river more quickly. So when they got to, and do you know what else it did? It gave the scorpion something else to do with his tail, right? So he wasn't trying to sting. And when they got to the other side, the scorpion crawled off, and he gave the frog, not a sting, but a big hug. And he said, thank you so much for bringing me to safety. I am a scorpion, and so I sting. It's the only way I can feel safe, and it's the only thing I know how to do. But you taught me that instead of stinging to be safe, I could work with you as a team. And together, we got across the river. And the scorpion, you can stay down on the carpet, Lovey. And the scorpion and the frog who had crossed the river safely together, and the scorpion who had learned a different way forward, a different way to be safe, to work as a team. Those two were friends for the rest of their days. May this story unfold in your hearts until we are together again. And if you can help me, thank you, sing the children out to their adventures.
We bless you on your journey through, from sheltering arms to the wide sky blue, in your joyful jumps and your sad times too. You bless us by being you.
As we are in the midst of our capital campaign, Building for Tomorrow, we'll invite up Jane Tuttle to offer a testimonial.
Good morning. It's good to see everyone. I grew up in this church, and my father chaired the building committee when they were putting on the addition many years ago, and wrote this poem that inspired me when my good friend Glenn Cook and Marianne Randall came to visit. to really stretch, to donate to this important cause. This is my father's poem, Our Commitment is Deep, by David Tuttle. We celebrate this bursting morning, the freer flight of spirit in a building that balanced to serve the needs of all of our people. We celebrate the anticipation of even more jubilant and reverent expression in honest space and light. We celebrate the warming promise of the hearth, the discovery in windows that let us look from inside in, the great gallery doors, the wonderfully expressive brick arches. We praise the very process of architectural conception, of lay participation, of skillful building, and yes, of stretching to pay. The stretching leaves us richer. Our commitment is deep. So I have a great affection for this building. It's an extension of the home that I grew up in, the UU values and social justice that I was taught as a growing person. So I encourage all of you to stretch likewise. Okay.
Jane, please join me now in the spirit of reflection, prayer, and meditation. I invite you to settle into your body, into this shared space. I invite you to bring attention to your breath, to the sights and sounds of this present moment, even if that sight is the underside of your eyelids as they are closed, or the sounds of the hum of the room, the sound of my voice. But let us hold here in silence for a few moments. Into our silence, I offer this prayer from the Reverend Rebecca Savage. Great mystery which grounds us and surrounds us, divine reality known by many names and beyond all naming. Eternal mystery that holds us close. Receive the meditations of our heart this day. We come together in this quiet moment to unify our hearts again towards the clarion call of our time. May justice and equity guide us to great connection, a greater truth. Our part is just as great, to approach dismantling systems of oppression within us in order for us all to be free. To know that when I cherish and tend to the divine spark within me, when I know in my bones that I am worthy of love and whole just as I am, that there is greater potential for mutual understanding and care. Love is not scarce. Our ability to extend compassion and grace can be. I place my hand over my heart and know I can feel the spirit of life within me. I invite you to place your hand over your heart. and feel the Spirit of life within you. The Spirit of life is divine within us. The Spirit of life is here. This is the beginning of justice and equity when we go within in order to be of service in our communities and to our world. May it be so. Blessed be. We enter now into ritual to bring what we feel in our hearts and to lay it on the altar of community and spirit. Honoring the complexities of life, I invite you to bring to your mind, bring to your awareness, if it is not already there, whatever grief or growth or gratitude is alive within your heart. And perhaps it is a mixture of multiple of these. Online, you are invited to share in the chat what these are. And here in the sanctuary, you're invited forward to light a candle. There is a basket of electric tea lights in the back if you prefer to use those. And if you would like an usher to bring you a candle, please simply raise your hands. And I will ask Grant to begin by lighting 2 candles. One for a member of our church, Haven Chady, whose grandfather passed away on Wednesday. And another for the city of Grand Rapids, where another young black man was killed by police this week. Our hearts cry out for justice and truth and healing. May we now share in this ritual of community care as we witness to one another's hearts. realized I did not say his name, the young black man who was killed. His name was Daquan Johnson. And all that we hold in our hearts for ourselves, for each other, for the victims of state violence, and for the world, all that we hold is held in this community and by the larger love that holds us all, always. Amen. Ashe. And blessed be.
Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit, draw near. Let's sing together, gathered here. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit, draw near. One more time. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit, draw near.
All that our church is and all that our church does is made possible by the time, talent, and treasure that we give to our shared mission. Members and friends support this congregation financially through recurring giving, and on Sundays, we also give through our shared collection. As part of the spiritual practice of generosity, 50 cents of every dollar given now to our offering will go to the Worthy Now prison ministry program of the Church of the Larger Fellowship. A program of the largest UU congregation in the country, this ministry connects people who are incarcerated with UU materials providing support, hope, and liberation, and we invite you to give generously. Using Church Center is the easiest way to give, but if you aren't set up with the app yet, you can also give by texting GIVE and the amount you'd like to give to the number on the screen, or in the offering baskets that will now be passed. In the spirit of abundance and generosity, the offering will now be given and humbly received.
Thank you, Pablo. A reading for this morning, the poem In Broken Images by the English poet Robert Graves. He is quick, thinking in clear images. I am slow, thinking in broken images. He becomes dull, trusting to his clear images. I become sharp, mistrusting my broken images. Trusting his images, he assumes their relevance. Mistrusting my images, I question their relevance. Assuming their relevance, he assumes the fact. Questioning their relevance, I question the fact. When the fact fails him, he questions his senses. When the fact fails me, I approve my senses. He continues quick and dull in his clear images. I continue slow and sharp in my broken images. He in a new confusion of his understanding, I in a new understanding of my confusion. From the earliest Unitarians who found no evidence for the doctrine of the Trinity in the Bible, or the earliest Universalists who saw no evidence for the doctrine of eternal tormenting punishment, our faith has been indebted to a practice of skepticism, of not accepting the truths handed down from past generations without rigorous investigation. From Abner Kneeland, who was a Universalist minister until he questioned the need to believe in God at all and became the last man jailed for blasphemy in America in the 1830s, hopefully the last man jailed for blasphemy, to Ralph Waldo Emerson, who questioned the ritual of communion and encouraged a direct relationship with the divine. The most traditional thing we can do as Unitarian Universalists, it seems, may be to reject tradition and develop something new and innovative and vibrant. From the signers of the Humanist Manifesto, those whose skepticism led them to a rejection of supernaturalism and an embrace of human potential and goodness, to the leaders of the early 21st century in Unitarian Universalism, who suspected that Unitarian Universalism could hold more room for more kinds of spiritual and reverential language than just that humanism. Our faith throughout the ages has called us to be self-reflective, has called us into the growth and the innovation and the self-discipline that can arise from an authentic and balanced skepticism. And to be clear, ours is not the only tradition steeped in skepticism. Indeed, the roots of Western philosophy generally can be found in the skepticism of the ancient Greek philosophers, particularly, of course, Socrates, who may have been the first recorded person to be sentenced to death for being too annoying. That is, for asking too many questions and thereby corrupting the youth, I believe was the actual charge. But Socrates also exemplified the advice to not believe everything that you think. His only real claim was that he knew nothing, and neither did you. And so his Socratic method of questioning, recorded in the dialogues of Plato, would leave his conversation partners exasperated as he systematically deconstructed their claims to knowledge of morality, or of the will of the gods, or the nature of justice. Another gift that I think we inherit from the ancient Greeks is the concept of virtue, particularly as an ethical framework. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to launch into a sermon or a lecture about various philosophical ethical systems, but the important thing to know about virtue ethics is that it isn't about using logic or philosophy or science to determine the most ethically correct action for any given situation. Virtue ethics admits that life is much messier than all of that would allow. Much messier than would allow for all of that. But what we can do is strive for moral excellence, for virtue, striking the golden balance between two contrasting vices is the way to achieve this. So the classical example is courage. Courage is the virtue that is found when one is not too cowardly, of course, but also not too foolhardy. One must be brave enough to act even while afraid, but not foolish enough to act without considering the risks. So if skepticism is a virtue in this frame, then the vices that we are trying to avoid are gullibility, on the one hand, of course, and on the other, what I would call contrarianism. Because skepticism, as I'm trying to talk about it, is not about disbelieving everything as a knee-jerk reaction or the eternal starting point. But this skepticism is about understanding what makes compelling evidence, what makes a good reason to accept a claim or to hold a belief. Returning to the Greek, the word skeptic comes from the Greek word skepsis, which just means examination, inquiry, or consideration. So for me, it's not about disbelief as a rule, it's about investigating what people say is true and what supports it. You see, there's a difference between just saying no to everything and answering everything with a question. Take our story this morning, the frog and the scorpion. In the original version, it seems that perhaps the frog was not skeptical enough of the scorpion. He believed his argument that, of course, he wouldn't sting him because then they would both drown. But on deeper reflection, I would also say that he was too skeptical of himself. He was too skeptical of his own understanding that the scorpion was very likely to sting him, and he was too easily persuaded that it would not be the case. And so in the second and third versions, the frog acts more as a virtuous skeptic. He spends enough time reflecting on the situation to consider it carefully, and most importantly, is not his skepticism of the claims of the scorpion or his skepticism of his own thinking, but he's skeptical of the idea that his only options were to say yes or no. By being skeptical of the scorpion's framing, will you just help me get on your back or not, he was able to imagine an alternative possibility, different alternatives in each secondary version. And in fact, this is where the virtue of skepticism and the virtue of hope overlap. Because hope, as distinct from optimism, is grounded in the conviction that we don't know the future. And so we cannot say that the future is definitively bad, like pessimism does, or as would be saying, well, the scorpion is definitely going to sting you, so don't take him. But we cannot say that the future is definitively good, like optimism does, saying, well, of course he won't. Why would he sting you? Our skepticism of both of these claims about the future can lead us to being grounded instead in the present moment, open to the infinite possibilities of life, and empowered to take actions that shape that future towards the good. This is why I'm compelled to preach the gospel of skepticism, because when understood properly as a virtue, I think a skeptical approach can ground us in hope and truth and love. And it's an important religious value, again, to our tradition of heretics and blasphemers. And I think it's an important political and ethical value in our modern times, necessary for safeguarding democracy and liberty from the clutches of tyranny. And so speaking of tyranny, I do want to lift up one of the 20 lessons from Timothy Snyder's On Tyranny. It's a great volume if you don't know about it. It's a short book, but has these 20 lessons. And lesson 11 is investigate. He writes, figure things out for yourself. Spend more time with long articles. Subsidize investigative journalism by subscribing to print media. Realize that some of what is on the internet is there to harm you. Learn about sites that investigate propaganda campaigns, some of which comes from abroad. Take responsibility for what you communicate to others. In this chapter, Snyder makes the provocative claim that it is your ability to discern facts that makes you an individual, and our collective trust in common knowledge that makes us a society. Now, I admit I am at first a little skeptical of this claim. I don't know if I fully agree with it, but I do think that it's important to think about how each of us as individuals have immense power and therefore immense responsibility to discern what is true. We must use this power wisely in service of truth. Snyder finishes the chapter by saying that each one of us bears some private responsibility for that public sense of truth. If we are serious about seeking the facts, we can each make a small revolution in the way that the internet works. If you are verifying information yourself, you will not send on fake news to others. If you choose to follow reporters whom you have reason to trust, you can also transmit what they have learned to others. If you retweet only the work of humans who have followed journalistic protocols, you are less likely to debase your brain by interacting with bots and trolls. And of course, we might add, this book was published in 2017, and since then, we might not talk so much about retweeting as reposting, as Twitter is not so much the public square that it used to be. And we might add AI to the bots and the trolls these days, but I will leave that exploration around artificial intelligence to Reverend Eileen's sermon in our Pulpit Swap series next week. But I do want to share that an important practice for me has been being intentional about my social media habits and what you might call one's information environment. I try to get off of the social media platforms that are rife with advertisements and with things from AI and bots and those kinds of places, and I try to engage only with the specific people that I am trying to follow, not having an algorithm tell me, show me things it thinks I will like, and being really careful about who those people are and curating that. Sometimes I take people off that list because I actually don't think that they're contributing as productively. And I try to keep it small and manageable so that it's a digestible amount of information, but broad enough that it has the people on it so I know what is going on in the world and trust the commentary that I am exposing myself to. I also have been thinking a lot about anti-fascist phrases. And one that is very important is the phrase, "make me," as a response to what authoritarians may try to do and say. And I think depressingly few of our institutional leaders have embraced this anti-fascist phrase as their response to the Trump administration's bullying behavior. But I think we would all do well to adopt another anti-fascist phrase in a skeptical key. We should keep this on the tip of our tongues: prove it. Whether in response to official statements from the Trump administration or from his enablers in Congress, or to stories, claims, and facts and figures, even those that you see on, again, social media or in legacy news outlets even, like CNN, which of course now features, for some reason, the betting odds about current events, and they pass that off as a headline, or the Washington Post, which has of course now is owned by Jeff Bezos and has recently laid off half of its journalists. Again, what I try to do with my social media habit is actually follow journalists directly and follow them as opposed to supposed legacy media outlets. And again, the skepticism that I'm talking about is not to say prove it as the only response we ever give or the initial knee-jerk reaction that then puts no effort in and then says, you, the other person making the claim, have to put in all the labor of investigation to prove it. This practice of skepticism asks a lot of us to ask questions, to investigate, to ask questions of ourselves. It is a spiritual discipline of holding back acceptance of claims, even those that our own brain presents to us, until we have satisfied a higher threshold of credibility. The good news is that we are not alone. If we know to trust ourselves, trust our gut, trust our own senses, our own moral conscience, we can build relationships with others doing the hard work of discerning who else to trust and build communities grounded in truth through a practice of skepticism. This is one of the things that I think is important about gathering in that interfaith gathering that will be happening on Tuesday. And if you haven't heard the recent episode on Evan Dawson, where Reverend Sherry and others talk about their trip to Minneapolis, I highly recommend it. And at one part, Reverend Dan Brockway, the lead pastor of Brockport First Baptist, talked about the reality that it's hard to ignore the evidence of one's own eyes, and the hope that he gets because so many people are documenting what is happening in Minneapolis and in many other cities across the country, that so many people are being woken up by what they see. Meanwhile, the Trump regime claims that things are happening that are absolutely not happening, like the supposed dangers of immigrants, or the claim that Operation Metro Surge has ended and ICE agents are leaving Minneapolis, when people who are on the ground and live in Minneapolis will tell you ICE has not left Minneapolis. And the regime denies the truth of what is real and what is going on, denying the truth that Renee Good and Alex Preddy were defending their communities through peaceful practices of observation, denying the truth that ICE agents have been lethally violent towards these two and many others, and denying the truth of what is going on in the concentration camps, and avoiding oversight from elected leaders. It brings to mind the quote from George Orwell's 1984, "The party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command." And so in contrast and in resistance to that kind of authoritarianism, I think our faith tells us to, in the words of the Apostle Paul, this is not a new idea, prove all things and hold fast that which is good. Mistrusting our images, this is what Robert Graves is talking about in that poem. Mistrusting our images, questioning their relevance and fact. By doing this, our senses grow slow and sharp as we develop a closer relationship with truth, even as or especially because we don't end up coming to a conclusion of absolute certainty. Through skepticism, we can avoid, or at least a little better than we otherwise would, avoid the pitfalls of self-righteousness, narrow-mindedness, and just plain error. The truth will set you free. Facts will overcome lies. Our hearts can open to the possibilities, but only if we cultivate the virtue of skepticism. And so please join me now in our closing hymn, Rise in Voice, Body, and Spirit, for our closing hymn, Blue Boat Home. If you are willing and able, please help us out by stacking the chairs in stacks of up to 5 chairs, stacks with arms and stacks without arms, and putting them in the back of the sanctuary. Please join me in the words to extinguish our chalice as Grant extinguishes the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. May you go forth slow and sharp in your broken images, questioning everything, holding fast that which is good, ever seeking truth, which is justice, which is beauty. Amen. Go in peace. I love you.